Hi, I'm Sean with Seanstechblog, where I interview guest speakers from tech, cybersecurity, gaming, and career advice. Today, I'm actually doing an open to work video where I interview active job seekers. Putting out an open to work video on LinkedIn, or I should say, now I'm inviting them to do it on YouTube, another venue where I interview them. And so today here I have Charles Bridger, and welcome welcome, and thank you, Charles, for being bold to be on this open to work video. And I'm going to go straight into tell me about yourself.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me, Sean, at the Sean's Tech Blog. I am a teacher who transitioned in the world of tech. I taught for 5 years at a homeschool co-op, subjects high school math, English, helped students organize their paper, ACT test prep. I even taught a little web design with it before I transitioned into. I went to a Nashville Software School boot camp, and yeah, I mean, coding's always something I want to do in my life, and just finally made it official.
Nice, nice. All right, we're going to get into some more of your background and origin story. Let's go into what was it like learning TI Basic and TI-83?
Yeah, TI Basic was fun. That was where I first learned kind of more the variable concepts or string. That was like back then, like in high school, like string, what? I used basic concepts, input, if else, to create math programs to help students work on their work. I guess you could say my first stand-up product testing was when I would make a program and pass it along to other students and be like, oh, this gave me the wrong answer. I'm like, oh, I got to fix it. Hold on. And then redo it. Like, is it working now? Does it give me the right answer for the area? They're like, oh, yeah, it's great. Good program. The quadratic equation was a tough one to crack, but I made that work on the TI. So it was a lot of fun.
Nice. Well, what about the experience with building fan sites with Angel Fire?
Angel Fire, yes. That is where I picked up HTML. I kind of studied during college a little bit, HTML, just basic stuff. I worked on fan pages for some of my favorite bands. I had a Reliant K page, John Rubin, just weird little Christian bands that I enjoyed. And I would like post their stuff, maybe some lyrics, image map with all their album covers. That was where I really was like, oh, this HTML is a lot of fun. I want to make an image map, put them all together. And I like showing my love of music with the code. That was great. Angel Fire. I look every few months, I try to look for my page, but I think Angel Fire probably deleted it. It's gone at this point.
Okay. And then is this where you probably thought you want to do this professionally, get paid for it? What got you there?
I had a moment. It's actually kind of funny. When I was teaching my students, my senior bridge math students, I taught them for the last 6 weeks. I would teach them how to program on the TI Basic calculator, going back to my roots. So it was actually a cool, clever way to teach basic if then else concepts, prompting the user for a variable, and then doing the math work under the hood. It was a really fun course. I liked it because you would have some students go, I hate this, coding is horrible, versus some like, oh, I love this is great. I had one student in particular who fell in love with coding so much through this just 6-week calculator thing. He was actually building calculator programs on his computer. He went further than everything, like just advanced stuff that I couldn't even do. And then he was like, I'm adding coding. I'm going to make it like a minor in my college. And I was like, this is amazing. They're like, thank you for showing me this. And I'm like, okay. That was when I was like, it's time to make it official. It's time to make it a career. I was just so like, his passion just kind of finally struck into me, a passion you got to make it happen. That was where it came from.
All right. So I'm going to gear into teaching in EdTech. You've touched on teaching students on TI Basic. So when you, that early self experience, how do you like teaching students, or what's your favorite method of teaching students?
Teaching students, that is challenging. Honestly, I think the easiest part of teaching for me was learning or relearning math from high school, relearning concepts. What makes teaching a challenge, a fulfilling challenge, is you got 10 students 9 of them really liked the way that you showed them how to do the math, but that 10th person said that doesn't make sense to me. I don't like the way you show. So I've got to reinvent the wheel. I got to find another way to get them to do that formula. I've got to find another strategy, another technique to get them to do it. And that's the challenge. There's always someone coming along who needs you to show a different way to communicate it.
Nice. No student left behind, huh? So to speak.
Right.
And then, how do you keep when you're training people, get them motivated? Keep them motivated.
It's one thing really I've had to do as a teacher. Not only was I a teacher, I also taught students. We did little individual tutoring sessions. One of my biggest things I had to do to keep them motivated would be I had to spend a lot of time calming them down. Their anxiety was keeping them from learning even simple concepts. Anxiety from either they had a bad teacher in the past or like a personal experience that kind of set them off, made it hard to learn new things. You really had to calm them down. And once you could calm people down and really walk them through the basics, that was my favorite thing to hear was, oh, this isn't bad. Like, yeah, you were just, and this was a lesson I had to teach myself the early days of coding. Like it's a little easier than you think. You just got to calm down for a bit. Just calm down and just kind of sit there and absorb it, soak it in.
All right. So let's talk about front end and collaboration. Right. So when you're working on coding, is there any kind of tools or things you like to work on, visual code, different things you use when you're coding?
I love using VS. Oh my gosh, VS Code. I love VS Code. That's my IDE of choice. I mean, granted, it's the one I started on, but it's also a pretty good one. For my web design course, for the last year, I taught my students how to design web pages, like basic HTML, CSS, JavaScript. I used this website called CodePen, which CodePen was really cool. CodePen, it was like a little IDE, but really simple enough. You could build an HTML window, a JavaScript window, and CSS window all together. And I would let them use it. I would let them use CodePen and then copy and paste it into GitHub files so they could deploy the website on Netlify. It was a really weird, I'm sure there's a way better way to do it, but I was trying to find the simplest way without trying to teach these kids Git commands because they weren't quite ready for Git commands yet. I don't know if you know, but version control to Git commands is a whole nother world. That's where it gets so crazy.
Beyond me right now, my skill level. Barely working on my lips. So what front end and the front end concepts do you think because you're trying to get into EdTech, right?
Yes. I like EdTech.
What kind of concepts do you think work for the EdTech platforms?
So are we talking about like EdTech teaching, like, because there's multiple. I think EdTech is equal parts using tech to teach kids high school stuff, or just teaching people tech concepts. There's like two different ways of EdTech.
Yeah, just what ways they can utilize it better on the EdTech platforms. But maybe an improvement. Maybe.
I think there's some. I'm going to shout out my favorite way of learning. My favorite way of learning code during NSS, aside from having really good instructors and collaboration, was I really enjoyed Code Academy. The Code Academy setup was perfect because you didn't have to sit there and do all this setup with the IDE and like create a repo and all that with Code Academy. Code Academy was, we've got a basic setup, put in the lines of code, and we'll make it work. Like you could focus on the concepts. Instead, I don't like watching code videos. I'm not a fan of that. I'll read code docs, but my favorite way is literally, here's a simple concept they're teaching me. Here's an example, type, make this code work, and you're good. It's like instant fast learning, if that makes like instant hands-on. I like instant hands-on. The sooner hands-on, the better.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And what kind of team environment? We're going to career direction now. Uh, what kind of team environment basically like to be part of a team, individual? Are you able to work alone? Um, Concepts like that. Do you need to be part of a team, fast code, and the different concepts like DevOps or you know,
One thing that surprised me when I first got to NSS is they said this is going to be a team sport, like coding is a team sport, and I was like, what? Team sport? I'm just going to be sitting there typing all day, and I found that was not the case. That pretty much the majority of coding is sitting there hashing out concepts with team members, and even more surprising, I really grew to enjoy it. Those were my favorite. Like, of course, I had solo projects where I built something. I built a full stack app myself, and I still do that. I'll build full stack apps myself. But I've really come to appreciate the group projects where I really love talking to my friends at Zoom. We would just sit there for hours, either chewing the fat or I've got this idea for making this work. That's the best part, because even sometimes when I was trying to debug some code of mine when I was working at my first job, I would sit there, I was struggling with it. And so I would holler at my coworker, I'd get her to jump into Zoom and be like, hey, Belle, I'm dealing with something right now. And even if she didn't know what was going on, we just started talking. We'd maybe like start talking about our day, our pet, and I'll just while we were talking, I'm like, oh, I should do this. Or sometimes she even had an idea of what I need to do, and I would try that. And then she'd be like, well, hey, I'm looking at this. I'm working on this. Can you show me? I've really grown to appreciate the art of collaboration, whether it is looking at the code or, hey, give me a like I've got this vague concept. How can I hash it out? What steps do you think I should take? Or like, because like sometimes they just learned something I can apply. I really appreciate it all, whether it's building something myself or working with someone else. I mean, and the fun part, just having fun with each other, just playing around, like catching up on our week or just having fun. Like I remember one time we actually screenshot our backgrounds of our room and we sent them to each other. And I made her background my background and looked like we were in each other's houses. And the bosses came in like, what happened here? Just little fun stuff like that to get through the day.
mm-hmm.
So,
all right. So let's get into all right. What kind of role are you looking for next? How soon can you start? And on-site, remote, hybrid location.
Sean, if you were hiring right now, I would say yes. This moment, let's make it happen. It's Monday. Okay, Tuesday, let's log in. Let's go. I'm ready to roll. I'm very open to my next kind of role. I'm experienced with remote, but I appreciate the on-site and I appreciate the hybrid. I appreciate the being in person. I appreciate the energy that comes from being with somebody like around. There's a certain urgency and just a certain inspiration that comes from that. So I appreciate that. That's one thing I've learned that. I like that. What kind of job? Yeah. I've discovered a few passions. I've discovered I like EdTech. I've interviewed with a few companies. I really enjoyed the technical assessments they gave me. I interviewed for one company where they showed me this web audio API where you can call this API that has sounds and essentially use it like a keyboard, like audio equipment. You can call this audio equipment and play sound. I learned how to play sounds. Like I can essentially make my own little synthesizer that you can play on the keyboard because the web audio API. I really enjoyed that. So I've enjoyed the EdTech assessments I've done. I've even worked on AI right now. I built a server and a client using the Model Context Protocol from Claude. I built an AI agent, all these based around accessing weather API. So I've enjoyed learning API. I've enjoyed working on API. I've enjoyed building sites with front-end development. Pretty much that's kind of what inspires me now. Front-end development, EdTech programs, and getting into AI. I'm programming AI is fun. I'll say it. Those are the three kind of things I'm looking for.
All right. So if I can generalize it, right, because I'm not in that field, but it'd be AI programming, something like that, right? Front end development,
Yeah.
and web development, and then EdTech programming, right? But okay, all right. Well, is there anything you want? Maybe we didn't touch on. Maybe there's some kind of accomplishment or project or something you just want a potential employer to know, and hopefully they watch this interview and want to interview you as well because I know that it's a tight labor market and what makes you stand out.
Future employer. Let's talk to you for a second. Future employer, somebody's going to hire me.
Nice.
You like some good documentation, right? You like good documentation. When I code, I don't just code for me. Like when I build my projects, I don't just build it for me. Like, hey, look what I did. I like to organize my code. I like to clean up my CSS. I like to arrange my functions. I like to arrange the API calls. And I also like to create READMEs that show you my process. I like to, even for my current web development, I wrote down and listed the process of what it takes to deploy the website on Heroku. Because I don't code just for me, I code for your team. I'm a team player. I code to make sure you can know the person after me will know how to do it. The person after them will know how to do it. Because I make it crisp. I communicate. I documentate. That's not even a word, but I'll clear it up for you later. I got you.
Nice. All right. Well, we're going to stop the recording here. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you, Sean.